The ideas, opinions, and arguments expressed in this podcast are that solely of the individual and do not represent any company, organization, group, or any higher authority. Enjoy.
Yo, what's going on, guys? This is Jorge, and we're back with another episode of the Media Offspring podcast. And I'm telling you, it's been a while since we've been here, and I missed it. So, it's February now, and that means it's Black History Month. So it's only appropriate that we talk about a black-ass movie, right? No, a good film, all right? A good one. All right, so today our topic will be the movie Creed. So before we get started, as usual, we're just going to go around and introduce the people who are going to be joining us for this discussion today. So,
yo, what up? It's Ed. I was thinking of a better introduction, but I couldn't think of it right off the bat. So,
all right, Edwinson, stop. Okay. What's going on, guys? This is Aldin.
Name's Izzie.
JJ.
As always.
Yeah,
he's the number 2. He's the shit. Hi. All right, so basically, let's get started into it. When the movie first came out, right, I felt like it went under the radar in the sense that no one was really expecting much from it. A lot of people didn't even know that it was part of the Rocky universe. They just thought Rocky was playing a character. So I just want to go around and get, what was the expectations when you first, saw or heard of the movie? So we'll start with Ed.
Okay, so I heard about the movie a couple months before it came out, and I really got context when I rewatched the first and third movie. No, not the first and third. But I rewatched the third movie and I watched the fourth movie, and I was able to contextualize the films. The last time I had watched the films was when I was much younger. I watched the first and the third. And after I watched the third and the fourth, I understood the themes that the movies were trying to portray, and it hit me a lot harder than it would have when I was a child. And I ended up watching the first and second one and rewatching the third and fourth one. And I could say I became a fan. Because of heavy recommendation to skip the fifth film, I did. But even then, I watched the scenes I thought were valuable. I watched the ending of the movie. And there was still one scene I thought was one of the best in the franchise. And I thought it was really amazing. The franchise, at that point, 3 weeks prior to watching Creed, meant a lot to me. Because of its timeless themes, just completely timeless. The era in which it came out with, of which, there were no movies like Rocky, as inspiring as Rocky, and even to this day, it still holds up. So, when I was going to watch Creed, I went in with the expectation, especially with all the good reviews that I've been hearing about, recommendations from Jorge, a couple of other people I know. I was expecting something really good. I was expecting it to, really blow my expectations away. And I think for the most part, that's what I got. I got that from the directing style, the performances in the movie, especially Sylvester Stallone, and you really got to give it to Michael B. Jordan as well. And that's what I got from it.
For me, when I first heard about it through social media, that there was a movie called Creed coming out, and that it was going to be, a part of the Rocky franchise, and that how it was going to focus on the son of Apollo and stuff like that. For me, there wasn't really much expectation because I wasn't really a big Rocky fan during the time when I was finding out about Creed. But I knew I watched a little bit of the first movie and I liked what I saw. And because Creed was coming out, I became more interested in it. And I watched the movies and I became a big fan. My own favorite is the first one, which a lot of people argue is best, but everyone has their personal favorites. I watched the movies and I love them, and I love Rocky because of all the movies. Even Rocky Balboa, which is the sixth one, where he's at a different point in his life. One of my favorite moments is, as you I think you mentioned it in Rocky 5. A little spoiler alert. He goes back to the the gym?
Yeah.
That Mickey had, and he goes there and he reminisces a moment with him and Mickey. And I'm not gonna lie, when I saw that scene itself, I actually teared up. That scene just got to me. So that is one of my personal favorite scenes in the Rocky franchise. Even though as a movie, I feel like Rocky 1 is my favorite as a film. My expectations for Creed was something about bringing on a legacy, handing down a legacy to someone who, for Rocky, was a friend that he was a friend to. He saw as a friend, and then bringing a legacy down to to his son. And when I watched the film, I got that, and I got more. I got a movie that was a lot more than just about bringing down a legacy. For me, it was a lot. It was definitely a film about family, a film about a guy trying to look for something, look for his spot in life, what he wanted to do, trying to be happy, trying to find something that he wants to do in his life and build a legacy for himself. And for that, I got what I wanted, and I love Creed.
What was the exact question again?
That neither of you answered.
Yeah, it was what were your expectations going into it? I think they answered it. Right?
They kind of put some context. My expectations for the film, when I first saw posters and marketing about the film Creed, I just thought it was just another film that Sylvester Stallone was cast in. Just that I didn't really make the connection that the character in it will be the son of Apollo Creed. It wasn't until, again, I also watched the other Rocky films that it kind of gave me context of so this film is going to be about the son of Apollo Creed. I saw the trailers for it, and my expectations were I didn't really have much, but I didn't think it was going to be that amazing, but I think it was going to be terrible. I just wanted to go in there and see for myself and see all right, how they're going to pass this along as the main character isn't Rocky Balboa, but someone else, an old friend of Rocky Balboa, which is Apollo Creed, and his son Adonis Creed. So it was going in blind for me.
All right, for me, actually, it took a while for me to even know that the movie existed. Kind of went under the radar. There wasn't much marketing behind it. I don't feel like there were commercials or anything, and I didn't even see the trailer until after I saw the movie. So just to give some context there. But when I did hear about it, I thought, well, it's a Rocky movie, meaning that at the very least, it's going to be fun. That you're gonna have a good time because you're probably gonna have the typical cheesiness that a Rocky movie brings into you, but it's also gonna be a boxing movie that's not really gonna focus on the boxing too much. The characters are gonna be more important. That's how Rocky's always dealt with it. That's kind of what makes it unique in the sense of a boxing movie. But then I heard about Ryan Coogler directing it, and I remembered Fruitvale Station. I hadn't seen it at the time, but I remember how critically acclaimed it was and how people were excited about his direction. And I thought that him writing and directing the film, or at least co-writing it, were things that would bring a new dimension. So expectations for me was it was going to be good in the sense that I was going to enjoy it, I was going to have a good time, and by the time I got out of the theater, I was going to have a lot of fun. It exceeded that, though. I'll say that for sure. It landed up being a good film. It was made very well, and I believe I got more than what I expected.
Okay. Well, I actually saw commercials for it coming out, and it was the only movie that looked good in theaters. You had Star Wars and Alvin and the Chipmunks, which both looked equally as shitty.
Alvin and the Chipmunks was amazing. Why are you hating? It was better than Star Trash.
Yeah,
I love Star Wars.
I'm telling you,
both
both of them looked
Episode
shitty.
7 reignited my love.
Yeah, I don't give a shit about Star Wars.
Anyways, back to.
So for me, it was the only movie in theaters that I would pay to see and not have to be paying to see.
Chipmunks is still better.
Sure. And so at the time, my girlfriend and I wanted something to do, so we were going to go to the movies. It's the only movie that looked decent to her, so I decided that Creed would be a good choice. And I ended up enjoying it. Got caught up in the movie. I wasn't expecting much of it, except that it was going to be a Rocky movie, which comes in its own. I grew up watching the Rocky movies on Spike TV, Fuse, when they play it 11 o'clock almost every day, the same one.
I watched it on Telemundo, so you can only imagine me, someone who doesn't speak Spanish. I tuned in and out of it because I do have a comprehension of Spanish, so it was just tune in and out,
I saw Rocky Balboa in theaters.
And so I've seen almost all the Rocky movies. My family loves them. My dad, I think he has every single one of them because he loves all those old movies. And what I liked about the movie was that they weren't abandoning Rocky himself. They're obviously going to keep their cash cow, but they added new elements. They made it reach a different audience, which you could tell by the trailers, you could tell by the commercial, you could tell by just the way that they approached this movie before it was released, that it was going to be for a modern audience.
All right, that's cool. I want to touch upon something that Ed brought up earlier. You mentioned themes.
Yeah.
So you want to elaborate on the themes? And before we go any further, I just want to say, huge spoiler alert, because we're going to be talking freely about certain scenes, the ending of the movie, and everything about Creed. So Ed, I just want you to get started on the themes of the movie that you noticed, that you thought were standout, whether good or bad.
Okay, yeah, all the themes that stood out in just about every one of the Rocky movies, except for my understanding 5, is just themes like never giving up, perseverance. Although it's not wanted to lose, it's okay if you lose as long as you tried hard enough until the end. You know, it's like these themes are timeless in the way they conveyed it in the film, especially the first and second for me, and I'll say Creed as well. The way they were portrayed, and even the 6th Rocky film, like, gotta keep track of all the films. Like, they're just so timeless.
Mm-hmm. But how about specifically Creed?
Specifically Creed. When talking about Creed, it was Apollo Creed's son, and Rocky, he's basically passing down the torch from himself to Adonis Creed. It's not only a passing down of the torch, but those themes are conveyed. What JJ was saying earlier about, like, it was made to appeal to a modern audience, but it's like it still has those old themes just for the modern audience, more in a new way that people can understand, and it doesn't feel as cheesy. This film didn't feel as cheesy as the other ones. It still had its moments.
It
but
had the cheese.
Rocky was in the movie, so it still had its cheese, but it's still prevailing.
Yeah.
Timelessness.
All right. So I think one of the things that I noticed about the movie, like in general for me, is that when it comes to themes, is family. Family was a huge theme.
But not blood family.
Not always blood family, but you saw a development of a relationship between two people that didn't really feel like they had much in their life, come together and become like this father and son kind of combination. They in a way they kind of gave each other exactly what they needed, and that was a great theme to really.
It's not like his actual son stuck around and, you know, hey, Dad.
I hate his son.
But that's part of the theme. They had the thing that Creed, he didn't have his father there. That's what Rocky played to him. He played the father that cared about him.
And he didn't have a son,
Yeah, but there's one thing about bringing that up is the idea that his son left because he didn't want to be in the shadow of Rocky, while Adonis is struggling the entire movie to get out the shadow of his father.
Yeah.
so there's a way to look at that.
This same themes from the movie that came out prior to it, and it's still explored just with a different character and a different way of getting out of someone else's shadow.
That was Rocky 5.
Yeah. The Creed definitely felt more human than the other Rocky movies. It felt more grounded in that sense. The fact that they're I guess to me, because we're born this age and we see this and this appeals to us. And what Sylvester Stallone always tried to say when he talks about the movie, he's like, this is Rocky for 2015. Like, this is 2015 Rocky. He's like, I appealed to what was needed to be appealed to in 1976. This is what they're doing in 2015.
Hence each of the villains hence each of the
antagonists.
The antagonists are pretty.
They all played a role in historical sense.
The antagonists of the Rocky movies historically have been cartoon characters.
Yes.
They really have.
Either that or propaganda.
Yeah.
Some great cartoon characters. Apollo Creed, guys.
Ricky Conlon is not a cartoon character.
Yeah.
He's a boxer that's gonna melt your face. Like, that's exactly what he is.
He's gonna break your jaw at a press conference.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. He seemed big tough guy. He's not
compared to some of the previous entries, like the Russian juggernaut. What was his name again?
Ivan Drago.
Ivan Drago.
Or let's mention Mr. T.
Yeah.
Mr. T.
If he dies, he dies. Like,
you say stuff like that.
Themes. Okay.
Talking about themes. Any themes you want to bring up?
I like the fact that there was a passing of the torch kind of thing. That there is like a father-son relationship, but I kind of like how through it all, I was not focused on Rocky. I was not focused on Apollo Creed. I was focused on Adonis becoming his own person in this boxing world and fighting up there and showing everybody, like as he said in the movie and in the trailer, that he's trying to show everyone that he's not a mistake. And I love that. It moved me, and I was so much more focused in his fights than I just... Sure.
One thing that Izzie said that I found interesting, where he said that it was more of a focus on Creed, but the fact that it was a Rocky movie where Rocky was the supporting character.
And I love
Yeah, it's weird because it is a sequel.
Yeah.
Like it does follow after, but it's more of a spin-off. Yet it's still part of Rocky's tale. Like Rocky's story is still being told in the background of the character. We have like this new.
He's kind of learning to just live his life because he looked kind of beaten down and stuff like that. But this was someone that came into his life. It kind of, he said it in the film, reignited something in him to fight because he was diagnosed with, was it
Cancer.
cancer?
Cancer, which was certain people had things to say about that because it was kind of, some people felt it was forced. Like, did you really need that to get the drama up to that point? Was there really a necessity for that?
Well, I think that's not something we could say unless they make a spin-off where Creed is the actual main character and it's a series about him. Then you could see why they had to introduce that aspect to kind of put away Rocky.
I mentioned this with Jorge before. In case anything ever does happen to Sylvester Stallone, they have a reason that doesn't feel like, oh my God, Rocky. They just took him off screen. I get that. No, but
like how they forced it in Fantastic.
It never felt forced. Like I'm really critical of stuff like that, especially with direct sequels, where it's something feels hammed in just to give like an opposing force, something to just bring the characters down a notch, whatever the case is sickness. It's just something that feels forced. It never felt forced. That was the thing I loved about the movie. And one thing that I loved about it is that, well, not that I loved that, cancer, not. But, no, I liked that, like, he's been through this before.
It humanized Rocky.
It definitely humanized Rocky, but he went through this before,
Through
but not necessarily him.
Through his wife, his late wife.
Yeah, through his late wife, which contextualized the sixth film where she passed away. We didn't even know what happened to her, and it felt so, like, damn, that's what happened to her. This is why she's gone, and this is why he doesn't have the will to live on. It's just been so many years since the love of his life is
the reason for his will not to live on is because she went through chemotherapy, and in the end, it didn't save her. When the doctor in the office was recommending, when the doctors recommended the treatment to Rocky, he was like, "My wife did this. It didn't work. He didn't want to take it." Going back into the whole Adonis reignited the fire in him to begin fighting again, even if it's not in the ring, but it's outside the ring in his own life.
Yeah.
And I remember after he talked about his wife and how she went through that, she unfortunately didn't make it. I love I love how he goes on to talk about how it's like if he could do whatever it took to like spend another day with his wife, he would do it. But he's like, I can't do that. There's nothing like that's all I want right now, but I can't. It's just not possible. So then what's So he's basically saying, like, what's the point in fighting anymore if the one thing that I want, I can't get?
Oh, my God, not again. No.
If you could put all the good things in...
If I could put all the good things in one bowl and then just trade it for one more day with my wife, I would. I tried to do the best impersonation I could.
Was that in the gym or in the...
That was in the gym when he was like,
when he found the paper.
When he found the paper, he was like, what? Because Creed is like, why aren't... Because like Creed Adonis found out that he had cancer through like some papers, and he was like, why aren't you fighting for this? And then Rocky's like, there's no point anymore.
I love you, Donnie.
After watching interviews with Ryan Coogler on the movie, he gave the reason why that was even in the movie to begin with. He mentioned his motivation for making a movie and the fact that growing up, him and his father used to watch Rocky movies together all the time. And he added that particular thing into Creed because at the time his father was going through something physically demanding, like he was very sick. And he wanted to make a movie that his father could use as inspiration. So that was really his motivation for that. And it kind of goes into Ryan Coogler's whole approach to the project. The fact that when people ask about how can you go up to Sylvester Stallone and pitch a Rocky movie to Rocky, and Sylvester Stallone's reaction was basically said, I haven't seen that much passion for this project before. And I liked
the first one with himself.
Yeah, and I liked where it was going, so I said yeah, and we got this. And there's something in the way that Ryan Coogler approached this whole project that conveys that passion that he has for filmmaking and for the Rocky picture itself. It felt like a movie made by a Rocky fan. And it shows because the movie hits a lot of similar beats that the original Rocky movie hit itself. Like they parallel each other a lot, not to the point that it's ripping it off, but that there are similar things. The fact that Creed getting a title shot at the end of the movie was nothing more than a publicity stunt, which is the same thing as Rocky. Beginning of Rocky was doing these kind of really underground fights, and you see Adonis at the beginning doing fights in Mexico. There are things that are similar here, but there are differences, and it's the differences are in the way it was approached, and also the characters are a lot more fleshed out, 3-dimensional in general. Adonis Creed has a lot to him.
Yes.
There is a lot to this man, and the fact that throughout the movie you don't get everything until the end. So I just want to get thoughts on Adonis Creed as a character, because to me Adonis is a great character. I believe that he puts on this front to the world that he's tough and everything, but he has so many insecurities like to him that they leak out during the movie. They don't exactly explode. There's no, oh my God, it's there in front of you, but at times it shows itself, and like his character kind of breaks off and deviates from its usual mannerisms. And you see that in the scene with him and Rocky in the jail cell, where he says, just get out of here. He's just trying to hide it, but in reality he was just hurt.
Because he cried too.
Yeah, because he thought he had found a family, like something for him. Because the movie is all about Adonis trying to find his place in the world. That's all he wants to do. He wants to find something for himself, and he
wants to earn it.
Yeah, and he thought he found Rocky, and Rocky basically said everything we did was fake. It's not real. So there's that, and of course the scene at the beginning of the 12th round of the last fight where he said, "I want to prove that I'm not a mistake." This is something that he didn't really allude to at all in the rest of the movie.
But it's something that we all had in our head, like, oh.
Yeah, like, he's trying to escape this shadow, this big thing inside him, but he never explicitly addressed it up until that point.
Especially since the whole world thinks that he's just Creed's...
Yeah, everybody sees him as
marriage.
Creed's son, and he knows he's Adonis, but he wants to prove that he's Adonis.
But he's not just Creed's son. He's also a Fairchild of Creed, which is the whole mistake part.
Oh, yeah.
So I just want to go around and get some thoughts on Adonis Creed's character.
I also thought he was a good character. You pointed out everything I would have pointed out myself, so there's not really much that I could go with. Besides the fact that, again, he was 3-dimensional. He had a sense of humor. He felt sad when the time was appropriate for feeling sad. He was angry whenever it called for it. He was just very fleshed out.
I think that's
there's nothing
to the actor himself.
And the writer. The writing really helped.
We'll get to the acting soon, don't worry.
Yeah.
I thought Adonis was a great character. I thought it was interesting about how his, because his character in Creed is different from Rocky in the first movie. Because here in this movie you can tell that Creed, Adonis, has a fire to him. Like he wants to box. He wants to be big. He wants to do this, and he at the same time trying to get out of the shadow of his father. But while in the first movie in Rocky, Rocky wanted to box, but he didn't seem like he had a motivation. He didn't seem like he wanted he wanted to box, but he didn't really have. He didn't seem like he had a. I don't know. He had something. He had a reason. He didn't have a reason to. Yeah, he didn't have a reason to basically, because in the first movie when he gets the title shot, when the guy comes to him and he's like, here's a chance to fight Apollo Creed for the championship. Rocky's like, no, that's okay. I don't want to do it. And that's an opportunity that I think anyone would probably go for, but Rocky didn't. Whereas in Adonis, when he got the chance to fight Pretty Ricky Conlon, he wanted to go for it, but Rocky was kind of like, nah, you don't want to do this because it's just a publicity stunt.
But
that's literally what.
That's not a matter of Rocky not having a reason to. It's just he knew that it was a publicity stunt, and he wasn't at that level yet.
Right.
No.
Adonis, he's a confident person, but he also has a lot to prove.
Yeah. So meanwhile, while that conversation was going on about fighting Ricky Conlon, Adonis was basically asking, "Do you think we could do this?"
Right.
And Rocky's like, "We have better things to do." Like,
Yeah.
like he's still in that same mindset that this is a publicity stunt.
Right.
We don't need to do this. We could get this. We could get there the right way and do this correctly. But Adonis did get halted in the sense when he was asked to change his name. That was his big
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
That was his big thing, and it led to a really crazy scene later on. You go thoughts on Adonis?
I really loved Adonis Creed. It's, for me, I affectionately call him Donnie, just like what Rocky calls him.
So that you
'Cause-
call Rocky Unk?
Yes, I call him Donnie. No, like Donnie, he really had me invested in him as a character because I was pay attention to his fights, pay attention to what's going on outside the ring as he was just going through the motions, just living, of just someone trying to get out of his father's shadow, someone who is just trying to get to know a girl. Like, just the more down-to-earth qualities of he met somebody, he wants to go chill with them. He meets Rocky. Other than, like, training, he just hangs out with him, has dinners with him, and then other activities. And, yeah.
Yeah, Mason?
I was just gonna say the fact that not only is he more a fleshed out character than we have in one movie than we've seen through most of the Rocky movies. He has more dimensions than Rocky as a character does. But also, he's a guy that you can imagine meeting in person. You can imagine, like, you could see him in the people around you. You could see him every day. And the character himself, we got to see him grow up through the movie. They show him as a child. They show why he is the way he is, why he thinks the way he thinks, and why he does the things he does.
Mm-hmm.
Based on his childhood, based on his family, based on the way that he feels. So I think that it's a very realistic character and one that we can understand everything that he does.
All right. So, just to add on, just a little extra thing for Adonis, the way he's portrayed as like this protagonist, I believe there were scenes in the movie that you don't really see that wouldn't be good in a whole bunch of other movies. And I want to particularly go back to when he was determining whether he should change his name or not for the fight. And you see the scene where he's talking to Bianca, Tessa Thompson's character, and while he's talking to her, he's braiding her hair and everything.
It's pretty cute.
It's something you'll never see in majority of movies. That vulnerability, that other side of this really big tough guy that you know is the star of the show. So I found that scene particularly very interesting in the scope of the movie. But he understood, man. She put things in perspective for him, and I believe that's something that I think Adrian failed a lot in the Rocky movies to ever.
In her defense, she wasn't there for a lot of it.
True, but I think I just want to go into Bianca's character, the fact that this was a very different love interest for a Rocky movie. She felt completely human. She was irrational at times. She was stupid at times. She was.
Well, in Adrian's defense, Adrian was not only being beat by her brother, but she was an introvert, and she was an introvert that preferred to stay away from people. But at the same time, she did want to go out to the world and get to know someone.
Yeah, but at times she just felt like plot device.
In the context of the movies back then.
Yeah, Rocky's motivation.
She felt very generic in the fact that she was she was like the damsel behind him.
Yeah.
That didn't
She felt
really,
like a damsel in distress.
Yeah.
I get that.
And you mentioned, we talked about this one time, that Bianca kind of alluded to the relationship that Rocky and Adrian had when she said, "What? I'm just motivation for you."
Yeah.
You told her. I thought it was pretty
Easter
interesting.
egg.
Yeah, I don't even think that was intentional, to be honest. I just think that was just part of the script, and it just happened to remind this man of that. So I think that's cool. That's cool. I think. Any thoughts on Bianca?
I thought Bianca was a great character. She was definitely much more than just motivation. She kind of at times she fought Adonis because Adonis is trying to because they definitely have a conflict between them because she herself has problems. She has hearing issues, so she has to deal with that, and she actually wants to be a singer. And I remember the scene where she's like, eventually I'm gonna lose my hearing, and so I wanted to do this as much as I can. So and also again, she fight because he does things that are just he does it out of reaction, and then it pisses her off, and then she fights him against it. So it's just I just think she's a good character for as herself, and just good for Adonis.
fighting against fate. It's kind of poetic in a sense. It's like she's not letting anything hold her back from at least living out her dream until inevitably she can. But that's not what I was going to mention. Just brief intermission. She is a really beautiful woman, Tessa Thompson. Everyone.
Yeah. No,
like,
she really is. A
Yeah,
beautiful
like
she definitely is.
No, she's genuinely beautiful. Like when she first came on screen, I'm like, yo, I saw her in a couple other movies this year, and I was like, oh, she's so beautiful. Like, superficially speaking, but yeah, her character was great.
I just remember as like the like conflict between them. I remember the scene where like, he goes to like a showing of hers, and then he gets into a fight with a guy who apparently I forgot was it like a manager or something of the show?
I think he was
he
headlining.
was the headliner.
He was a headliner.
He's still
and then,
knocked out.
Yeah, yo, and he was mad. He was just like, "Yo, why you acting light skinned?" I was like, "What?"
Yes,
He said,
I
to argue.
remember.
Let's
then-
get Bear right next to that. Pop. Like, done. And end the movie for him. Like,
yeah. Like I remember it was like Baby Creed, like
yo, baby Creed, don't call me that.
yeah. and then like he fought him, and then she got really pissed off about that. And I
For
think
good reason.
I don't know. I wouldn't say. I think that was highly irrational of her to really think about it. Once he put it in context, exactly when he was at her door saying exactly what had happened, I thought that was just something to really tug at you, like it was manipulative in that sense. And that, if anything, that one stretch was just not necessary for me.
I wouldn't think that it was irrational going back to Bianca's character because she's someone who's trying to make a career of what she loves, which is singing, and to have someone screw it up because they got punched in the face because like it's like her. She said it. It's her big. It's a big gig.
Yeah, but he's having a bad day. Like,
I get
in the
it.
realm of bad days, he's having pretty bad days. At the same time, he's having problems with Rocky. It's just a whole bunch of the cliche. Everything got to fall apart before we rebuild for the climax of the movie. Yeah. And that to me felt like the one part of the storytelling that wasn't necessary, if you ask me.
The thing that I liked most about her was the fact that she was necessary. A lot of times movies, they throw in a love interest that has no like point being there.
Yeah.
She made it a point to be there. She brought him back down when he was like lost in space. She made sure that he would stay true to who he was without abandoning everything that he's trying to give up. Even if it meant being angry at him, even if it meant putting him in a worse situation than he was before, she'd make sure to bring him back.
Mm-hmm. I just want to say that by the end of the movie, that was a sight to see. Adonis and his ragtag family of the half-deaf girl and the and the cancer patient.
The cancer patient who could barely speak.
Yeah, and at the end he had one eye. So it was like
I remember you
It's
saying how
rich.
it's like they became one, like him and her became one human.
they became one human. Like,
because he couldn't see and she couldn't hear. So it was
There's no
like,
evil, see no evil, speak no evil.
exactly, they confuse and create one functional human being.
They want one cohesive unit.
I thought that was
It's a fucking
cool.
slow
Oh my
family.
gosh.
So, last thing about the actual movie before we move on to the acting, because I think that deserves some time, is the city of Philadelphia.
Oh.
How it's portrayed in the movie.
And the music.
The music is the music actually goes along with that because this is all about atmosphere.
Well,
Yeah.
the thing that I liked about what they did with Philadelphia in a sense, it wasn't the one that we're known through the other Rocky movies.
Yeah,
It was more exactly what it is in real life. It's modernized. It has the clubs. It has the old school feel, but they keep it separated in the areas that they are. Yes, there are less like butcher shops. The butcher shop didn't exist anymore. It was a restaurant. So everything is, I guess, modernized.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say it's not only a more modernized version of the neighborhoods that Rocky grew up. It's a different point of view of the neighborhoods that Rocky. It was a black point of view. That's what it was. Like,
and race was a theme in the movie as well.
yeah, race was a theme, and it's a prevalent theme that should be mentioned. Like, and it is more prevalent because it was a black director that really sidelined. Like, this is more of like what the people in the neighborhood that Adonis was getting to know. Like, there were kids on bikes, like just driving around, like scoop scoop, like, and there were people playing trap music in the gym. Again, trap music, hip hop. It was more
Urban.
Yeah, it was more urban, and I think because Adonis was the main character, it was more of that point of view rather than what we got with Rocky.
So we're basically seeing Philly through his eyes.
Yeah.
And I just think the over the years, over all the Rocky movies, they've done an amazing job of portraying Philadelphia as a place. There are landmarks that we can see that we've never been there, but we can just be like, I know that place. It's like, especially the steps, like.
And they still take the time to introduce those landmarks yet again.
Yeah, it seemed Philadelphia's kind of become
its own character.
It's its own character. It has its own entity there. Like you see, it has its own life. Yeah. And we see it realized in Creed in a grittier fashion, definitely, than in the previous films, and it's due to this new approach to the movie, which Ryan Coogler deserves credit for, and keeping in perspective, atmosphere. Keep in mind that this is a Rocky movie. We have boxing. The atmosphere of the boxing fights, I think, is pretty much unparalleled in the franchise. Ryan Coogler's shots in this movie were phenomenal, especially in the fight scenes, highlighting his first big fight against Leo, where they did the 2 rounds in one take. Right. There was no cuts at all. It was just one panning around camera. I think that's a feat, if I was to say, because that's hard to do when you have guys actually throwing punches at each other for 2 rounds of boxing. So I think that
real punch.
The scene that stuck out to me was near the ending of the last fight. It was around round 7 or 8 when you see the guys wipe off the blood and everything, just like there's blood going into the bucket while they're trying to wash off the guys, and it's just in slow motion. You just see them throwing punches one after another at each other, and then finally it's up to, I believe, the 10th or 11th round, and then the conclusion starts. Mm-hmm. I thought that scene was just beautifully shot.
Yeah. In the sense of Rocky movies, they did fly by the fight a bit faster than the other ones, but they did. But it was worth it for the climax, for the finale of that fight. Because I think going into it, I think a lot of people knew he wasn't going to win that. Right. Yeah. But they just want to see exactly how far he could get.
Another
winner
parallel.
by split decision.
Yeah,
I think he should. I think from what I saw in the movie, I think he should have just lost by unanimous. I don't think split was really justified.
In
the scenes that we saw from the movie.
That's usually the case with the Rocky movies. Either Rocky wins, or in this case, the new character Adonis.
He looks like,
or there's a split decision.
Yeah, it looked like it could have gone either way. I don't think so. I think Conlon fucked him up. But that's
I think he had that one shot, and if Conley stayed down, he would have won by knockout. But
and the last thing about atmosphere has to be the music. Like the score. Like, keep in mind, the original Rocky score is one of the most iconic scores ever created. It's one of the most recognizable tunes anywhere. So to be able to follow that up, it's a pretty tall task, and they did it. They and not only did it, they were kind of in your face about it. They're like, we're not gonna hide our music. We're gonna go in and we're just gonna throw it at you, especially in the training monsters. We're gonna throw this, that, drums, trumpets everywhere. It's big, it's loud, it's in your face.
The beginning of round 12, you hear the iconic Rocky tune, and then it turns into something
There's
else.
There's that, and I think that was perfect timing, because a lot of the time you didn't think that they were gonna actually do it because of all the music that they weren't using from the original Rocky. Yeah. But then after a while, they were just like, guys, we're going into Rocky mode.
I was like, really?
Like,
they really did that?
They pressed the button and all you heard was
and it was a slightly slower version, and it was so loud in the theater. I was like, I started prepping in my seat, like.
Yeah, I was sitting next to you, and he was like, yo. He was like, yo. He had a smile on his face, and then it immediately remixed into the modern music, and he was like, that's an amazing transition. And even at the end of the fight, where he made it, you're just like, but it was a faster version. They want to speed through that, and the use of music was just great. And Adonis having his own training montage, that the scene where he's just running through Philly. Once again, it's a different area of Philly. It's a lot grittier. You see mad black people, okay? It's black people everywhere, right? It's black Philly, all right? You got Meek Mill playing. Meek Mill.
Lord knows.
I swear that's the only W he took in 2015 was being on that soundtrack.
That's facts, though. Like, if you guys keep updated with him, that's facts. But wait, real quick, I was gonna say something. What was I gonna say?
I'm not gonna. No, Izzie was trying to say something.
Oh, okay.
Well, everyone was talking about the fight and stuff, and you actually mentioned about the training montage. My favorite scene out of the entire movie, and the one that really, really got me the most, was his training montage, because you get to see his build-up, his prep for this big fight against, was it Conlon?
Yeah.
And like the music with the drums and the trumpets and his running up, like there is no, he didn't run up the staircase, of course, just like what Rocky did, but he had something similar to it, was running up the hill. And I was like, no, I really cannot ever describe that feeling I had in the theater with the music in my ears. It's something I wish I could feel again, just seeing him like rise up, seeing him just surrounded by people who were like looking at him. Was it not Baby Creed, like the people on bikes?
Yeah.
Like
they were egging him on.
They were for him. They were for him rather than like who was before him, which is like his father. But no, in that moment, it was just about him, and I loved it.
Yeah, it again, more with the parallels. It just paralleled in a black version of what Rocky went through in the first two movies. Like in the first movie when he was running, people would pass him oranges like, yo, you got it, Rocky. Like people from his neighborhood. This is people he grew up with, people he knew, people he would buy stuff from. In the second movie, he had a bunch of kids running with him. It was kind of like that. It was like a combination of both. You had a bunch of kids riding bikes, and they were like, you got it, yo, go Creed.
And this is where the cheese comes in. Come on, the bikes circling him. Like,
he was talking to Rocky, he was like, this is for you.
You can't tell me he's not iconic. And he was throwing his hat, and he was getting it. And I was like, yo,
Rocky's cancer having ass was up there, waving down at him like, hi, son.
Good luck on the team that made him look really old.
Yeah,
really
yo,
old.
They made his face look
and his
cancer.
Hair, and his hair. It was like,
he looked like Wade Wilson before the cancer really set in.
So yeah,
just one more thing. Obviously, as you guys said, the music in the movie was great because the point of like in these movies, in the Rocky movies and in Creed, the music's supposed to get you pumped up, supposed to get you, you're like, you're like. Get you ready for what's about to happen. Yes. Yeah. And Creed did a great job of that, just like any other Rocky movie would have.
Yeah, I think
the score.
I think a lot of other composers probably would have shied away from really going in like that. But I think Ryan Coogler had faith in this guy who he's worked with before, and the guy was just like, "Fuck it, go," and he just put it on blast. Like he put it on blast. All you heard was, "Okay." That's a good score. He's just looking at it like, yeah, this is how it works.
So if you're ever working out, just listen to Lord Knows. That movie's a good movie.
Listen to the training montage.
Yeah, listen to like if I fight, you fight montage. Like,
yeah.
Or it's called Lord Knows, and then
Fighting Stronger.
Fighting Stronger.
Yeah. One last thing we need to discuss, without a doubt, is the acting in the movie. Something that I thought was amazing, just all around. I think everybody did their job correctly. Even the boxers who weren't like really actors did good. Like Pretty Ricky Conlon is an actual boxer. He's not an actor, and he did really well in this movie. But I think the highlight of the film was, without a doubt, Sylvester Stallone playing Rocky now for the 7th time. So for me, this is easily the best performance he's ever given for the character. I think it shows when you play a character that many times that you have like mastery over just the mannerisms of how it goes, and showing the evolution of the character through those movies was portrayed excellently. I think in this one, he's a grounded character. He's not a caricature like at times, especially in Rocky 4, where he has seemed like that. Just this guy that was just this superhuman being. No, he's a guy. He's a human. He's a dude that loses stuff like all of us. And I think Sylvester Stallone captured that perfectly, because while Rocky is at the end of his rope, Sylvester Stallone is pushing 70 years old. So for his acting career, he's also at that level. And this is a performance that resonated with a lot of people. He's even had award talk. He's nominated for an Oscar. He won the Golden Globe already for it. So just want to get some impressions of that. Like, what do you guys think?
Well, I definitely love Sylvester Stallone's portrayal as Rocky in Creed. I thought he did a great job of playing a character who's been through the experience, who's been through the boxing, been through a lot of stuff, and so because of his experience, because of his knowledge of boxing, but like just being a person and trying to go through all those like hard times and stuff like that, trying to put that on, trying to show it to Creed, to Adonis. I thought he did a great job of basically playing this mentor to Donnie, as Izzie would call him, Donnie, and being a great teacher.
Yeah, facts.
They're the worst.
He passed down his knowledge. I think I mentioned this before. Pretty sure I mentioned this before. But yeah, like, same themes, and he embodied that. What Jorge was saying earlier about just like he wasn't a caricature. Rocky IV would be an example of that. Yeah, it was an all-around good performance, and just all-around good performances from the cast in general. Missing some characters like Punchy from Rocky VI.
Shut up.
Or Steps.
But Steps too.
I'm not very good at analyzing acting, but I guess my impression of like Rocky as a character, it didn't feel very out of place. It just felt like what Rocky would be in this time, in that neighborhood, in that place surrounded as people. Like one example of, I think what scene was pretty funny was the cloud. Like he's writing down all this information and giving it to Adonis, and Adonis is like, I could just take a photo of it and then put it up in the cloud. And Rocky's like, what cloud? And I guess in that moment for that character, it just stayed so in character. And I guess that, to me, is like, that is really good acting, because he stayed within character. What would Rocky feel like with this new technology? How would he react to it?
Yeah, and I feel like it was a heartfelt performance, very sincere, genuine in the way he did it. And we know when we see Rocky movies, we're going to get these Sylvester Stallone monologues going on. And these aren't like my favorite monologues of the franchise. I still think my favorite monologue is in the fourth movie, where he's talking to Adrian on the steps and she's telling him he can't win. That's my favorite one. But he has some gems here where he's just grounded, very subdued, and not over the top with it as he used to be. And I think that goes even further, showing where the character is right now in his life. And I think he was really in there.
I think for me the biggest part of this movie with Rocky's acting was the fact that he felt like he cared about the movie, and he felt like it was a new fire for him. He acted different than he did in every other movie. He acted like a support character, but he also made sure that everyone knew that this was still the same Rocky they love. It's still the same person that they came to see, while still giving, like Izzie said, he basically acted in a way that was typical of someone of his age in that character role set in our time period, while still maintaining the Rocky that we knew from years ago.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a testament to Ryan Coogler and the way he just handled everything, directing him. Ryan Coogler he's at the helm, bro. Like, he's just doing everything, and he deserves a lot of credit for why this movie is the way it is. It's just that simple fact. He was like, yeah, Sylvester Stallone, you're gonna go over there, you're gonna be this, and Sylvester Stallone has written and directed all the other movies, so this is new territory for him. But I think the most surprising role definitely was Michael B. Jordan as Adonis. The first half of his year was not so good as he starred in Fantastic Four.
Can you even call that a star?
Forstick, which had an absolutely stacked cast of actors that just failed, and he's just like, how was he going to redeem himself?
He did.
Creed came.
Creed came. He redeemed himself. He put on 24 pounds of muscle to really portray like that he is a boxer, to really do that. And
he learned how to.
He learned how to box.
He didn't have a stunt double. That was him.
Yeah. According to Michael B. Jordan, he knew about Creed before he filmed Fruitvale.
Wow.
So yeah.
When did Fruitvale Station come out?
About
2013.
Wow. So this movie was just
It was
really...
either 2012 or 2013.
It was 2013,
Yeah,
and he knew
this movie was a long time coming then.
Yeah, Ryan Coogler pitched it to him, and he said that this was gonna happen. He's like, cool. So he trained for boxing for a year. But he trained with like Andrew Bello, like the boxers in the movie, Andre Ward and those guys.
You said they were their real stats, like not just numbers.
Oh no! When they were doing like the ESPN highlight stuff for Ricky Conlon, they were showing actual clips from his fights, and which kind of added to it. So
woo, realism.
Yeah, and I thought that Adonis was, well, Michael B. Jordan. I think they're going to be synonymous as we move forward. I think he was great. It was definitely redemption for this.
For sure. He needed that.
I think everybody's just like, okay, Fantastic Four never happened.
It's
Adonis, basically. So let's get some thoughts on what Adonis did here.
I think Michael B. Jordan did a great job of bringing Adonis to life, making him his own character, creating a guy who, like we've said before, just wants to be a boxer, wants to fight, wants to keep going, and yet he just and trying to live this like trying to in the end because he uses the Creed name, you know, because before he was like, I don't want anything to do with Creed, I want to do my own legacy, and in the end he's like, I'm gonna do what I can with the Creed legacy and make it and not only live up to it but exceed it, make it my own thing. And I thought it was a great job of just portraying this character as that, just someone, a fighter.
I was gonna say that same thing about, you know, exceeding the legacy, just building this, you know, being himself and continuing the legacy without just abandoning the Creed name. Yeah, he did a good job. He's going to be, like, he'll be recognizable with the role. Creed 2, which has already been, like, has it been confirmed?
It's announced. MGM wants to move forward with it. So,
Yeah.
So you know what's happening. It's gonna happen.
It made money. It was critically acclaimed. I think they're gonna move forward with it. With a Creed 2, you know, Michael B. Jordan will try and come back to that. He, like,
Coogler's not directing them.
Yeah, because he's
Yeah.
doing
Because
Black
he's
Panther.
just doing Black Panther.
If that is the case and he doesn't come back to the film, then it will be a different film. But I think the character will stay true.
Yeah, according to Stallone, because Coogler won't have much time, he's just going to be producer on the movie.
Okay, that's fine as long as he has a hand in it.
Yeah, he will. So he's just not going to be
Some
as
kind of hand.
He's not going to be as hands-on, but I'm still eyeing whoever that director is because he has a job in front of him.
What was the question?
Michael B. Jordan as an actor as Creed.
So I'm watching Creed, and I think I asked the question, was like, wait, Michael B. Jordan was in Fantastic Four, right? Like, it made me forget that he was in that movie. And I was like, so that movie, Fan Four Stick. So that movie was, I heard, bad, right? And I was like, yeah. I was like, oh, he's done an amazing job, in my own opinion.
Yeah.
Of bringing this character to life because, again, he made me so invested in this character from start to end. I was really rooting for him, just in my seat, wanting to curse the shit out of his opponents. I loved it. I love this character.
True.
For me, the first time I knew about Michael B. Jordan was this TV show called Parenthood.
What?
I don't know if you guys have heard about it, but it was good. And then he was on it.
What is this show?
He was a good actor on the show. He played.
He's been in stuff over the years.
He played like in his 20s, similar to the character he is now, a guy with a chip on his shoulder, trying to make a family around him. And the thing that brought it out most was he lived up to that, and in Creed, specifically, he rose above it. Like, you could tell that he had a bond with all the actors and actresses themselves that he worked with because the chemistry with them was great. You felt like Michael B. Jordan and Sylvester Stallone weren't just actors on the set. You felt like they talked together, that they actually bonded as cast members.
Mm-hmm.
And you could tell through the acting that he loved the role as much as the character was important to the story.
Yeah, this is Michael B. Jordan transitioning from an actor to a star.
Yes.
Basically. He's been in a lot of stuff. We've seen him in The Wire. He was in Friday Night Lights. He was in Chronicle and Fantastic Four.
Yes.
And now he's here. He was in Hardball as a kid. It happens.
Damn.
Yeah, that was another.
Damn,
that was a
I
good movie.
remember that
It was
movie.
a good movie. So, I think he's here to stay. I think he found somebody that he works really well with. He's 2 for 2 with Coogler, Fruitvale Station. Powerful movie. Then we have this. Imagine he just makes a cameo in Black Panther. Like, hi guys, I'm here. I'm black. What's up? Yeah,
I would like to see him as the Falcon.
And I think as a duo, they're pretty impressive. They're two people that are under 30 years old that are doing their thing. Like Michael B. Jordan, I believe, is still 28, and Ryan Coogler is 29. So they're two of the most exciting, especially when they come together. Things that we have in the film industry right now.
Oh, they're really like just about the same age.
Yeah, like Michael B. Jordan has said, Ryan Coogler's my best friend.
Oh, that's dope. I didn't know that.
Yeah, he did. He did. So, final thoughts, basically. So let's go around and get favorite scene in the movie.
My favorite scene in the movie. It's kind of a tough one. I guess if I had to just think one of the scenes off the top of my head, I think I think one of my favorite scenes is definitely something that you mentioned earlier. Was during like the end fight scene, and he's he's sitting down, he's trying to get prepared, and they're trying to clean the blood off of him, and then Rocky's telling I'm gonna stop the fight, you don't have to keep going for this, and he's like, no, I have to. It's like, why do you have to do this? Like, you don't have to do this, and he's just like, I want to prove that I'm not a mistake. And I was just like, damn. He's like, because that one got me. I was just like, he's trying to prove something. In this moment, he's like, this is my time. This is my time to show that I'm more than just, someone born of infidelity. Apparently,
you're gonna go over there and knock that son of a bitch down. Say it. I'm gonna knock that son of a bitch down. All right, now go and fucking do it.
Yeah, I mean, I love a lot of scenes in the movie, but that one's probably something that came to mind.
Probably my favorite scene is
when he realized Punchy wasn't in the movie.
No, when Tessa Thompson's character and
Bianca.
Michael B. Jordan, Bianca, were making out. And then you see the turtle that was there from the beginning of the franchise in the background. It was just eating a leaf, staring, and I was like, "Yo!"
Oh, just some trivia. Those are the turtles from the original Rocky movie.
Well, there's only one in that movie.
No, I think there's more than one.
No,
I believe there was
two.
one.
I didn't see the second one.
There was two.
I didn't see the second
I saw one of the turtles eating a leaf. I was like, "Yo, fam."
Phallic symbol.
Okay, on the real, moving on real quick. My favorite scene is really tough to pick between scenes, but probably, I guess I could say the final round. Just the final round. When Adonis is trying to get up, and right before the 10 count goes, and he gets all these flashbacks of the people who were relevant in his life. His stepmother.
He got up like a man.
Adonis has gotten up like a man possessed.
And then finally, his father pops up. It's just one image of his father, Apollo Creed, and he gets up, and it's just like, he's still in it. And he gets his ass beat for another minute or two before it's just like,
Before he goes and gives this nigga the hands.
Yeah.
Isabel.
My favorite is the training montage. It still affects me even to this day when I have one of the song. No, I have the training montage song, but from the soundtrack, not the score. There's difference. And I listen to it. Some days it moves me. Other days I want to cry on the train.
So
Other days
moves you?
Yes, it still moves me. It came out. We watched it when December.
End of December, right around Christmas.
And even now, it still affects me. Like that one scene, it really resonated with me. It really touched me. So that is my favorite scene. Training montage.
Well, for me, it's the training montage, but not for the same reason. I liked it mainly because it was
motorcycles.
No, it was a perfect mix between old school Rocky and Adonis, the new Creed, because you have the typical cheese. You have him running. You have the city behind him. He's fucking carrying the city on his back. While
you going to see Rocky? Yo, guys.
But you had Creed. You had him. With his confidence, he was ready for the fight. Whether he lost or won, in that moment, that was the movie. He won. He reached what he needed to.
All right, well, for me, my favorite scene in the movie is actually in the final fight, the entrances. That's actually my favorite part of it, because I'm like, all right, cool. Creed, he comes out to Hail Mary with Tupac. And I'm like, that's such a fitting song for us. I'm not a killer, but don't push me. And I'm like, that's like Adonis in a nutshell. Yeah. Nice guy, but he'll fucking kill you. Just think about what the headliner went through. He was knocked out during that fight. I swear. And I thought it was great. But then they had Ricky Conlon come out, and he had like this spectacle of fire breathing.
The guy just coming out like
it's almost like a wrestling.
I'm getting that. He came out to "Don't Waste My Time," and he in that moment he felt more like a heel in wrestling than he did a boxer.
I was actually thinking that myself.
He felt like a bad guy, and I was like, this is how boxing fights are usually built up. They take on these personas, these things that pro wrestling always does. The fact that Mayweather's a perfect example. He's always playing the villain every single time. Whether it's intentional or not, he does. And I thought that was really cool. It got me pumped for the fight. I was so like, oh shit, like what's gonna happen? And it just looked, it was the best scene in the movie to me in that case. So now that we have that out of the way, I think. Any final thoughts? Just one more time, we're going around. Any final thoughts on the movie?
Watch
it short.
Creed.
Yeah, make it short. Yeah.
You should definitely watch Creed. Watch the other Rocky movies also, but see how it just all led up to there, and you just see.
Skip Creed and watch Rocky 6 for Punchy.
Watch Creed, please.
You can watch Creed if you want to.
2015 was the year of 70s franchises coming back.
Yes, it was.
All right, so with that, we're just going to sign off. Well, we're here from the review committee, and if you want to check out our stuff, you could go see us on Graphic Novel Club, jj.wordpress.com. All right, until next time. Thanks, guys. Scene in the movie to me, in that case. So, now that we have that out of the way, I think any final thoughts? Just one more time, we're going around. Any final thoughts on the movie?
Make
Watch
it short.
Yeah,
Creed.
make it short. Yeah.
You should definitely watch. Definitely watch Creed. Watch the other Rock movies also, but see how it just all led up to there, and you just see.
Skip Creed and watch Rocky 6 for Punchy.
Watch Creed, please.
You can watch Creed if you want to.
2015 was the year of 70s franchises coming back.
Yes, it was.
All right, so with that, we're just gonna sign off. Well, we're here from the review committee, and if you want to check out our stuff, you could go see us on Graphic Novel Club, JJ.wordpress.com. Right.
That was-
Until next time. Thanks,
That
guys.
was the only